I was lying in my own filth. That's the sentence I never thought I'd say out loud. The bathroom light was still on. It was bright. Too bright. Cold tile pressed against my cheek, and I could smell it. The sickness, the shame, the proof that I wasn't functioning like a normal adult human being. I remember staring at the base of the toilet and thinking, this is it. Not I'm dying, not I need help, just this is the moment she finally sees what it's actually like to love me. 31 years old, 6 feet tall, and too weak to stand up out of my own mess. I heard the front door unlock. Her keys dropped in the bowl by the hallway. She had worked a double shift, 12 hours, on her feet, and I hadn't even texted her back. I tried to move, I swear I did, tried to wipe the floor, tried to crawl, but my arms shook and gave out. Footsteps down the hallway. Babe? Her voice. Light. Normal. Still expecting the version of me that existed this morning. I couldn't answer. The bathroom door creaked open. Silence. Not the loud kind, the heavy kind. The kind where a person is processing what they're looking at. And I braced myself for the disgust, for the disappointment, for the quiet, I can't do this anymore. Instead, she sighed. Not angry, not devastated, just tired. You dirty bastard, she muttered, and then she stepped into the room. And that was the moment something inside me cracked. Because she didn't turn around, she didn't hesitate. She crouched down in it, put her hands on me, and said, okay, we're fixing this. And a week later, I asked her to marry me. But to understand why that bathroom floor became the most important moment of my life, you have to understand how close I came to losing her long before that. If you've ever been convinced you were too much, too broken, too anxious, too emotionally heavy for someone to love long-term, you're not alone. On this channel, we tell the stories people are too ashamed to admit out loud, the ones that don't look romantic, the ones that happen on bathroom floors, the ones where love isn't poetic, it's inconvenient. If you've ever tested someone's love because you didn't believe it was real, if you've ever pushed someone away just to see if they'd fight to stay, you're going to feel this one. Subscribe to the Breakup Stories if you haven't already, because sometimes the strongest relationships are born in the ugliest moments. And this story, it almost ended before it ever reached that bathroom floor. I've had depression since I was 16. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind. The kind that sits in your chest and whispers things like, she'll leave. She doesn't really mean it. She just doesn't know better yet. When I met her, I was 29. She was 22. Too young, I thought. Too bright. Too emotionally healthy. We met at a 4th of July party at my friend Mark's place. She was sitting on the hood of someone's car, fireworks exploding overhead, laughing like the world had never hurt her. She looked at me across the yard and said, "You look like you're calculating how long you have to stay." I blinked. "I am." "Good," she grinned. "Take me with you." That was it. She didn't ease into my life. She cannonballed into it. She talked fast, laughed loud, held my hand like she wasn't embarrassed to be seen with me. And that terrified me. Because when someone that vibrant chooses you, you start waiting for the mistake to be corrected. The first time she said, "I love you," I froze. It had only been 4 months. We were lying on her couch, rain tapping the windows. She said it casually, like it was obvious. "I love you." And I said, "Are you sure?" She laughed. "Yeah, that's usually how that works." "No, I mean, are you sure you're just excited?" Her smile softened. "I know what love feels like." "Do you?" She pulled back slightly. "Why are you questioning this?" "I just don't want you to wake up one day and realize you were wrong." That was the first crack. Not in her love, in my belief. She reassured me, over and over. But reassurance is like pouring water into a cracked glass. It never stays full. When we moved in together a year later, my anxiety got louder. Living together meant she'd see everything: the bad days, the silence, the way I sometimes stared at the wall instead of answering her. One night, she found me sitting in the dark living room. "You okay?" "Yeah." "Why are the lights off?" I shrugged, just thinking. "About that you deserve someone easier." She inhaled sharply. "Why do you keep trying to break up with me without actually breaking up with me?" That stung. "I'm not." "You kind of are." I didn't see it at the time, but she was right. Every "you deserve better" wasn't humility, it was self-sabotage, and she was getting tired. Then came the dinner, her coworker's birthday. Loud restaurant, 10 people at the table. Someone made a joke about therapy. Not malicious, just ignorant. "Yeah, everyone has anxiety these days," the guy laughed. My chest tightened. I stopped talking. She squeezed my knee under the table. "You good?" "Yeah." I wasn't. I went to the bathroom and had a full panic attack. Sweaty palms, tunnel vision. Embarrassing. She found me leaning over the sink. "Hey, I'm ruining your night." "You're not. You shouldn't have to deal with this." She looked hurt. "I'm not dealing with you. I'm with you." But in the car ride home, I said it again. "If this is too much, you can tell me." She gripped the steering wheel. "It's not too much. You don't have to lie." "I'm not." Her voice cracked slightly. That scared me more than anything, because maybe I was exhausting her. Maybe loving me was work, and maybe one day she'd decide she didn't want that job anymore. And then I got sick, and I thought, this is where she finally quits. It didn't start with the bathroom. It started 3 weeks before that, with distance. Small at first, almost invisible. She had just started a new job at a pediatric clinic. Longer hours, more responsibility. She was excited. Exhausted, but excited. And instead of being proud and supportive, I started spiraling. Because when someone you love is building momentum in their life, and you feel like you're barely keeping your head above water, it does something ugly to your thoughts. One night, she came home an hour late. Traffic, that's all it was. But my brain didn't accept that. "Everything okay?" I asked too casually.
"Yeah, why?" "You're late. There was an accident on Fifth." I stared at her a second too long. She noticed. "Why are you looking at me like that?" "Like what?" "Like you're waiting for me to confess something." That hit hard, because she wasn't wrong. I didn't think she was cheating, not logically, but insecurity doesn't operate logically. It operates defensively. And when you don't believe you're worthy, you start looking for proof that you're about to be replaced. I asked, "Do you ever think about being with someone easier?" She dropped her bag on the counter. "Again?" "It's a fair question." "No, it's not. It's exhausting." There it was, exhausting, the word I'd been afraid of. "You're tired of me." "I'm tired of convincing you I'm not." That argument didn't explode. It simmered, which somehow felt worse. The intervention. A few days later, my friend Mark pulled me aside after we grabbed beers. "Are you trying to lose her?" "What? You keep acting like she's already halfway out the door." I scoffed. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know she looks tired." That made my stomach drop. "What do you mean?" "She loves you, man. That's obvious. But it's like she's constantly fighting something you won't." I didn't answer, because I knew what he meant. She was fighting my insecurity, and I wasn't. I was feeding it. The withdrawal. After that conversation, I did something worse than accusing her. I pulled back, emotionally. If I couldn't trust her love, I'd just stop depending on it. She noticed immediately. "You're being weird." "I'm fine." "You're not touching me." "I'm just tired." "You've been just tired for a week." I didn't want to admit the truth, that I was trying to detach before she did. It's a coward's defense mechanism. Leave first, emotionally, so when she leaves physically, it hurts less. One night, she sat on the edge of the bed and said quietly, Are you trying to break up with me? That question knocked the air out of me. No? Then why does it feel like you're disappearing? I couldn't answer because I didn't fully understand it myself. All I knew was that loving her felt dangerous because if she left, I'd fall apart. And depression loves predicting abandonment. The breaking point. Then I got sick. At first, I thought it was food poisoning. Then the fever hit, then the weakness, and something inside me just shut down. She hovered. Let's go to urgent care. No. You can barely stand. I'm fine. You're not fine. I just don't want to be dramatic. She stared at me. You throwing up for 6 hours isn't dramatic, it's concerning. But I waved her off, because here's the thing about men with depression. Sometimes we'd rather deteriorate than admit we need help. She had that double shift the next day. I can call out. You're not calling out because I have a stomach bug. You can't even hold down water. I'll sleep it off. She hesitated at the door that morning. Text me. I will. I didn't. By evening, I couldn't stand. By night, I was on the floor. And somewhere between fever chills and humiliation, I thought, if she leaves after this, it's my fault. The bathroom. You already know the image. Cold tile, bright light. Shame. When she opened that door and saw me, there was a flicker, a human reaction, shock, disgust, and my heart sank. There it is. There's the moment she sees what loving me costs. She sighed. You dirty bastard. Not cruel, not mean, just real. Then she rolled up her sleeves and crouched down. That's what broke me, because this wasn't romantic. There was nothing poetic about it. It smelled. It was humiliating. I was trembling and barely coherent. And she didn't say, why didn't you call me? She didn't say, I can't do this. She said, okay, we're fixing this. She got my arm over her shoulder. You have to help me, she said firmly. I can't carry you. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing and move. Step by step. Shower. Water running, her holding me upright while I shook. You're gross, she muttered, but she was smiling faintly. And that's when it hit me. She wasn't tolerating me. She wasn't enduring me. She was caring for me. There's a difference. After the shower, she insisted on cleaning the bathroom herself. I made the mess, I croaked, and you almost passed out walking 10 feet. Sit down. I watched her scrub, and instead of feeling like a burden, I felt something else. Safe. That was new. When she finally got me into bed, she climbed in beside me without hesitation, pulled my head to her chest, rubbed my scalp, my back, my stomach. Slow, comforting, like this wasn't abnormal, like this wasn't a breaking point. I whispered, why are you still here? She stilled. What? You don't have to stay. She pulled back just enough to look at me. Her eyes weren't tired. They weren't resentful. They were steady. I'm not confused, she said quietly. I know exactly who I love, and something inside me collapsed, not from weakness, from relief. Because for the first time, the voice in my head didn't have a rebuttal. The aftermath. The next morning, I woke up in clean sheets, fresh water on the nightstand, her arm draped over me. Like nothing about last night changed how she felt, but everything about it changed how I did. I kept replaying it. The sigh, the sleeves rolling up, the matter-of-fact care. She saw the absolute worst version of me, and she didn't flinch. And suddenly, all those months of "are you sure?" felt insulting, not to her, to us, because she had already been proving it, in quiet ways, in patient ways, and I had been too busy preparing for abandonment to recognize devotion. 3 days later, when I could stand without wobbling, I walked into the living room. She was folding laundry. She looked up. You alive? Barely. She smiled, and I just stood there, looking at her, really looking. This woman who had every reason to be overwhelmed, every reason to be frustrated, every reason to walk away from a 31-year-old man battling his own mind. And she stayed. Not dramatically, not heroically, just consistently.
And that consistency scared me, because now I had no excuse. If she loved me this clearly, then the only thing threatening this relationship was me. I didn't propose the next day. That would have been romantic, impulsive, cinematic. But this wasn't about drama. It was about realization. And realization takes time to settle. For the first few days after I got sick, I felt something heavy sitting in my chest. Not depression, not anxiety, something else. Guilt. Because I started replaying the last year in my head. Every time I asked, "Are you sure you love me?" Every time I said, "You deserve someone easier." Every time I emotionally withdrew to protect myself. And I saw it clearly now. I hadn't been protecting myself. I had been slowly eroding her. Not maliciously, not intentionally, but consistently. And consistency matters. The conversation I didn't want to have. 4 days after the bathroom incident, we were sitting on the couch. She was scrolling on her phone, feet tucked under my thigh like she always did. Normal, comfortable, safe. And I said it. "I think I've been hurting you." She looked up slowly. "Okay." With the doubt, the constant questioning. She didn't jump in to reassure me this time. She just waited, which told me everything. "I keep acting like you're going to leave, and that's not fair to you." She set her phone down. "You want the honest answer?" I swallowed. "Yeah." "It's not that I'm going to leave," she said carefully, "but sometimes it feels like you don't trust me to stay." That hit harder than any insult could have. "I do trust you." "No," she said gently. "You trust me today, but you don't trust that I'll choose you tomorrow." Silence filled the room, because she was right. I trusted her feelings in the moment. I didn't trust their durability. And that's exhausting for the person constantly proving themselves. "I don't know how to turn that off," I admitted. "She's not asking you to turn it off. She's asking you to fight it instead of feeding it." That sentence changed something, because she wasn't asking me to be perfect. She was asking me to try, to take responsibility for my own mind instead of making her battle it for me. The fear of becoming my father. Here's something I hadn't told her. My dad left when I was 10. Not dramatically, not explosively, just gradually. Late nights, fewer dinners, eventually another address. I remember watching my mom slowly realize he wasn't coming back, and something in me decided people leave. Not because they're evil, not because they hate you, but because eventually loving you becomes inconvenient. That belief doesn't vanish just because someone new walks into your life. It waits, it whispers, it prepares you.